All right, welcome everybody to another episode of our Data Friday. My name is Joe Kwang. I'm a solution architect at Ascend here. This week we have our very own Tom Weeks, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Great. Hey, Joe. Great to be here. Looks like you're on a beach somewhere. Good for you. I'm stuck in here in a room. Really excited to be here. I run our customer success team here and get to have a real pleasure of interacting with companies all over the US and globally as well, and get exposed to all the various problems they have related to data management and data platforms. And I'm super excited today to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, as it's one of the most painful and common challenges we are presented with. It's also one of the topics that breeds all kinds of interesting conversations and debates that inevitably end up with the concepts of batch and streaming entering the fray, as I put it. And instead of debating these concepts, though, what we do when we're asked, hey, should we do batch or streaming for this, is we say, yes. And why do we do that? We really want to focus the conversation on what the business requirements need and how to satisfy those, rather than debating the technology stack to enable it and whether it's a batch or streaming stack. Thus, the notion of a data flow, which is what you're going to see demoed today after two really quick, brief setup slides. We want to make this very demo heavy presentation for you.
Awesome. Let's get started. Looking forward to this, Tom.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So the challenge itself, first slide, really quick, just briefly want to hit the challenge again. And it's customers are asking us, how do we create highly resilient data pipelines that deliver enriched data to consumers within 5 minutes of the event? Additionally, there's actually this, I call it the extra credit portion of it as well, because they want to solve this problem in a way that doesn't introduce another set of technologies or another set of tools that help them with this kind of fast consumption need versus what we think is a more traditional slow consumption need. It requires more people, more time, more effort from a maintenance standpoint. So getting into the second slide before the demo, what I want to do is kind of give you the anatomy of what you're going to see in the data flow itself. It'll help give you some context and also help us highlight some of the key aspects of the data flow. So to begin with, right, we're talking about streaming data here. In this case, we're going to have two streams. This is not an unusual situation that we are faced with, where there are n number of streams that need to be joined in order for the user to effectively consume the data. For us, it's orders and line items. The next step is collecting and persisting this data. And the key aspect here when you're in the demo is that we connect directly to Kafka in order to collect and persist the data. We're saving time and not having to go write out that data to, say, an S3 location if you're on AWS to be picked up and then processed. After that, we do some very traditional, typical cleansing activities on the data, as well as enrich it. In this case, we're going to pull in some customer data to give the data a bit more context for the end user. Once we do that, we get into another really cool aspect of Ascend, which is the ability to do these time window optimized joins. And this lets us effectively just process and join the new data that's come in the context of a data set that is storing as much data for as far back as the user would like. So that not only are they looking at currently, say, for example, what do my orders look like for this hour or this last 15 minutes? They can look at it compared to what was it yesterday, or what was it last week, or even what was it last year. So really cool step here that Joe is going to show you. Then after that, we'll do some just an additional filter step. Frequently, folks will want to do either some additional filtering or aggregation. I think we're going to do some filtering on a geolocation here. And then lastly, we're going to show you the ingestion of this data directly from a BI tool through a JDBC connection. Again, this saves us frequently, actually minutes in this process that others typically have to do to write this data out to, say, a data warehouse, whether, say, Redshift or Snowflake, to then be ingested by your BI tool. So this is the, we'll call this more the high frequency challenge, where somebody wants to ingest data on that 5-minute scale. For the extra credit, what's also cool that Joe is going to show you is that we can reuse all of the work and effort that was extended to collect the data, cleanse the data, enrich the data, and then process that in a different time window, say for daily collection or daily reporting. So we have this expanded window join we do, and from there, all kinds of things can happen, much more enrichment, aggregations, filtering. We do a couple things here, and then drop that into your data warehouse for, say, your nightly, call it quote unquote batch reporting. So that's the anatomy of this data flow. And I'm going to turn this over to Joe for the more interesting part of actually looking at the demo itself. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. All right. So what we're looking at here is the data flow in Ascend. And we're looking at the high frequency data collection as well as the hourly time window join. So we're going to talk a little bit deeper into what this data flow is doing. First off, on the high frequency collection side, as Tom mentioned earlier, we're connecting directly to Kafka. So we have both orders and line items from 2 different Kafka topics. And we can take a look at the data for orders, for example. It's your familiar Kafka messages that just looks like a JSON document with a bunch of attributes inside. So this flow, this data collection is on 5 minutes collection schedule. So we're going to continue to pick up data from the Kafka topic live. And as you can see, it actually continuously to pick up data as new data is being made available in the Kafka topic. Once the data is picked up by the reconnector, the first step we have in the high frequency collection is to also just do some same old data cleansing by extracting the attributes such as the order ID, customer ID, and status of the order out from the Kafka message. And then as we're doing that, we also join it with a customer's metadata data set as well, just to provide a little bit more context by augmenting the data set with customer names and locations and whatnot. So we're doing this something very similar for the line item. So what's very interesting here that I want to explain a little bit more is the hourly time window join. So similar to the stream join in Spark, what we're doing here is to join the orders with line items. Imagine one order could contain multiple line items. Therefore, we're doing this particular join. And as we're doing the join, the SQL to describe the join is really simple. Basically, joining these 2 streams together on the order ID. And we're adding a criteria to basically filter on just the partition timestamp. So what that means is we're only going to perform the join on the data from the most recent hours. So by doing that, the join could be performed really fast in just a few minutes to power a near real-time report downstream that Tom is going to pull up in a little bit. One thing I also want to emphasize before we move to that is, even though we're joining on the hourly time window, but at the same time, we actually would also retain the data from all the past hours as well. So for example, if I show you this one, you can see every single partition in here is the hour timestamp. However, we started doing this like roughly 2 days ago. So we still see the old data from 2 days ago. Same thing happened for the join, right? And this is how we can make new data available to the dashboard very fast. But at the same time, we also marry the historical data from in here 2 days ago, but it could go back as far as a year, 2 years, however far back we want to go back in terms of the time window. So after we have completed the join, we have created 2 data feeds over here. These data feeds are not duplicating any data. They're only a security wrapper around the particular data set, so that external applications such as the BI tools like Tableau, Power BI, and Looker can connect to the data set securely and safely without sending the data to yet another location by creating another copy. So with that, Tom, do you want to pull up the Looker report really quick?
And sure. Yeah, let me pop this up, and I'm not sure our Dataflow has actually processed the next batch of data. I may have updated this too quickly. But this is a typical Looker analytic, if you will, that's showing us the data that was sitting precisely in that data feed. It's connected directly to that data set through a JDBC connection. And when I run these analytics, or if they're sitting on a dashboard and I refresh them, they're actually going to go back out to the to Ascend. It's going to connect to that data source, and hopefully, if that pipeline's completed this run, then our 564, nope, looks like we don't have any new data showing up here. This will show you the exact data that's sitting inside of that data set. So back to you, Joe.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Tom. So now we are going to talk a little bit more about the extra credit part of the pipeline. So over here near the top, I have a couple more boxes over here for my daily reports. So first of all, I'm running a daily collection. So let me expand this one really quick. And these 4 components are actually exactly the same as the high frequency collection. The only difference being they have a different collection window. So they effectively collect the data at different time. So instead of doing it every 5 minutes, these only refresh every day. So as the other thing we also see is they have different amount of data because this one has not updated today. However, one really powerful concept from Ascend is because the fact that this is also going after this exactly the same Kafka topic. So if I click on refresh now over here, just pretend that it's already midnight from today. Ascend does not go out to the Kafka to reprocess any data, but instead, Ascend will essentially pick up what the high frequency has already been completed, collected for the entire day, and establish the association of that exactly same data set in the data layer with these 2 visual components over here, so that Ascend can make the data available to this daily collection data flow. So as I click on refresh now, wow, this is still processing. Let's take a look at the daily time window join. So very similar to the hourly time window join, we're doing the join over here on the daily partitions. So the only difference here, again, is we're instead of doing this hourly, we're doing this daily. And with that, we can now power some interesting reporting use cases, right? Such as the aggregation on daily top customers who purchase the most amount of merchandise from our FIC online store from every single day, as well as we can take a look at the daily orders per state to look at if there's any discrepancies among how many products people purchase from different states in the US. And lastly, we can also send this data set over to a Redshift data warehouse or Snowflake to make sure the data warehouse pick up the data for the entire day to power other analytical use cases. And as we have completed talking about, I just want to quickly show that it jumped from 2 partitions to 34 that have been completed. This is because we established the association right away instead of reprocessing anything. It still shows parsing because these two are still in the parsing state, but there's no data duplication as we have the two different data collection frequency. And that's about it for our demo today.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Very cool. Real quick summary here. I want to go back to the context slide and just highlight the 5 key aspects of the demo that you just saw. I've got the summary in text format after this too, if you want to go back and grab the text version of this. But essentially, these are this is the data flow we just saw. Number 1, direct connection to Kafka, saving us an extreme amount of time in the actual collection and persist stage. Secondly is the ability to then just take that incremental data and do our cleansing and augmentation. Then third, joining that on a time window optimized basis. Again, saving us an incredible amount of time and also allowing us to retain access to historical data. Fourth, direct connection from a BI tool so that we save time from having to write this out to another data store like a data warehouse. And then fifth is leveraging all of that logic and work that was previously done on the collection and persistence and cleansing, et cetera, to now join this and do additional actions on it for something like a daily reporting cycle. Awesome. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you picked up some interesting notions from Dataflows. We'd love to show you this in person. Please give us a contact, or not in person, given our social distancing today. Over a Zoom call. Happy to show you. Please subscribe to our channel. We've got lots of great content. Feel free to contact us directly in our emails below. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye now.